But there's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about before we go into previewing the Chargers game, and that is Wilkinson back at right tackle. I have a theory, and I want to see what you guys think.
All right, cool.
So we know how DeMar Dotson plays. He has been a solid right tackle all year. We know that we're getting Juwan James back. Mm-hmm. So my question is, do you think that since we're not going to be in the playoffs, that they've put Wilkinson in there to judge how he's going to play and to grade how he's going to play to figure out if they're going to bring him back next year?
You didn't need to bring him back just to make that judgment alone. Yeah. I personally think that he's another one of Munchak's, turnaround happy stories, kind of like Garrett Bowles was, because that to me is the only thing that makes sense on why you would risk your quarterback's health out there. Especially Mike Munchak has got to be seeing the exact same thing we're watching. There is no way he's watching that game through a different set of glasses.
Well, and that's why I'm trying to figure out why they have him back in there. There has to be a reason why he's back in there.
I've heard they really like him. I've heard they really like him in the facility. So, but his production obviously isn't anywhere close. But Dotson's just a filler. I mean, we only got him because James bailed, and so we had to get someone in there. And he's good in pass pro. That's about it. But
he's old.
He's called the hairless wonder.
Yeah, I think they're just seeing what they got for next year as far as behind Juwan James because they don't know if they can count on him. But I mean, we're gonna draft a tackle somewhere in the first three. So
I mean, you've got to think with putting him back in that they're thinking of not bringing Dotson back. That's the only reason why they'd put him back in there.
Mm-hmm. That I would agree with that. I think that if they had to let go either one of them just to try to save money,
which kind of sucks. I like Dotson.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we can't get Natane Moody to play right tackle because that would be great if we could.
I don't think he's long enough for it.
Well, and
no, he's not.
I like Moody, but I think that a lot of the problem we had with Glasgow this year was because of Cushenberry. Because I mean, the same thing with Reisner. Like Reisner had a really good year last year, and the only thing that changed is that he was next to Cushenberry instead of who did we have last year? McGovern? No.
Connor
McGovern. Yeah. So the only thing that changed was the center. And I mean, Glasgow was brought in because he played good at guard. So you have two good guards all of a sudden not playing very well. The only thing that changed was Cushenberry. Yeah. So the only thing that changed was Cushenberry. And I mean, Cushenberry is the one that, he either cuts left or he cuts right and helps on the block. So if they've got to sit there and wait for him to get there because he doesn't know where he's going, that could explain why we're having such a rough time on the line. So I'm not saying that Glasgow is the answer at right guard, but I think a lot of the problems were with Cushenberry not knowing what he's doing.
Well, that's part of being a rookie. So,
yeah,
I mean, you can critique him, but you can't go, hard on him.
No. That's why I'm saying, I don't blame him for it. I'm just saying that could explain why that Glasgow and Reisner were having such issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be because they're not playing to each other's strengths at all, or maybe not yet. It's
communication.
And it's communication that same thing too. So hopefully, everything that Cushenberry learns this season, he needs to get better at it next season. You have
to think about
especially if he's going to be the guy. If you're going to be the one calling the shots, you need to, tell Glasgow and your all offensive line, this is the play we're going to run. If you need to be able to try to read the line, if you can, just basically not do any of the mistakes that he has done since the beginning of the season. And to me, he's shown improvement, but not like in leaps and bounds type of big. He's moving at the speed of what you would see in a rookie. So hopefully in his second year, he steps it up. And, that O-line can solidify itself stronger. I do kind of worry about bringing in Juwan James because since Juwan James opted out and he's coming back in, he hasn't been able to play with this line yet. So we might see him struggle at the beginning because he probably has to he's been out of shape for football for a whole year, for 2 seasons. So, you don't need to be a pro athlete to know that if you even miss a week or so, that can take a toll on your body, and it can take you a long time, even with off season and training camp and preseason and all that, to get back into shape. So I'm just hoping that, when James comes back, that he can go in that line and not have little to no problem at all.
I'm super confident in the line besides right tackle. Like I mean, Glasgow can either go from center to right guard if he needs. Then you have Muti behind him that could fill in. That's obviously really good on run blocking, not getting there on pass pro, obviously. And then Cush was a third round rookie who had to go through COVID and he's starting. So I didn't really expect a whole ton from him. So I think next year he'll be super solid. So I think we're looking pretty good besides right tackle next year. So we'll just kind of fill that void. Villanueva, I think, is a free agent.
Ooh, Villanueva from Pittsburgh.
If we can afford him, yeah. Okay, so
give him the money.